You may have seen Juliette on Piers Morgan.
Mummy always kept me safe.
Kept on.
Well, she tried to from Epstein, but she couldn't from him. But Mummy kept me safe from everyone else.
This girl said to her, "Do you want to meet the King of America?" He was with Clinton, the Clinton guy. So, 20 years ago, we thought a president would be, a fairly reputable character, we thought. Jeffrey phoned and said,
Yeah, because my mum wanted to speak to Jeffrey Epstein before I was taken there. No, Mummy, you wanted to make sure I was going to be safe.
Well, I wanted to know what it was about.
Well, I was 20 years old. They promised me a modeling career, and my mum wanted to make sure that it was legitimate. So he phoned my mum, and they spoke for half an hour.
Well, anyway, he said, he pretended he was a philanthropist, and with scholarships. Obviously these philanthropists issue scholarships like the Rhodes Scholarship, etc., for children to study at university.
For me, I went for the modeling casting, and it was very, he also told my mum it was about modeling, but he also...
No, he didn't tell me about modeling.
But why didn't he tell you about modeling? Because I went for a modeling casting, and Bill Clinton actually witnessed the whole modeling casting.
Yeah, because...
But you see, he wasn't focusing on that with my mum. He was focusing on educational opportunities.
Yeah, because he knew he's a psychopath, so psychopaths...
Well, he knew that you wouldn't...
Psychopaths are very interesting. They always...
Interesting, yeah.
They find out exactly what their prey...
How do you know all this, Mummy? I'm joking.
So, I was interested in Ju carrying on her education and getting a degree. And I wasn't interested in the modelling and stupid Victoria.
Because Mummy did modelling. Mummy was...
No, I'm not interested in that.
Mummy was on magazine covers, by the way. My mum's an astrologer.
Well, I studied astrology, and then I saw that he had he was possessed with a satanic entity, and I've never seen that in any other chart.
Wow.
Never.
Huge thank you to you, the viewers, for helping us get to over 1 million subscribers. If you've not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. Helps us get great guests and keep doing this hard-hitting content. Before the podcast, there's a little Attwood family video showing the beautiful shutters we got from Shutters Factory, featuring baby Ziggy and Jen. So on our channel, we talk about predators, stalkers, and we've moved away from the city to the countryside to get away from them. But it seems they follow us everywhere.
Oh no, not him again. Oh. Goodbye.
You can get a 10% discount on your order with Shutters Factory using promo code Shaun, SHAUN. Link is in the description box on YouTube. Thank you for supporting our sponsor. Hey, welcome everybody, viewers. I am delighted to have Juliette Bryant's mother doing her very first interview. Oh, God bless. So if you've not seen Juliette's story, Juliette Part 1 link is in the description box. Juliette X is in the description box. And Juliette was recently on Piers Morgan. You may have seen Juliette on Piers Morgan. So my first question for you guys, and huge thank you for coming on, is, Virginia, what was it like raising Juliette?
Be nice, Mummy, be nice.
Guys, it was only me doing it. I mean, no. It was great. We lived in Johannesburg for a while, and it was a wonderful place. Then we moved to the Cape.
Mummy always kept me safe.
Cape Town.
Well, she tried to from Epstein, but she couldn't from him. But Mummy kept me safe from everyone else. Well, always kept me safe.
Julie has 2 brothers. They're quite a handful.
Yeah, they're real rascals.
So I wanted my children to make up their own minds about things. I always said to them, don't just do what you're told. Think about it first. And unfortunately, they changed it to don't do as you're told, just do what you feel like doing. But I meant do what you think is right.
Mummy, you're making me sound bad here. Shush.
was the sibling rivalry?
No, not really. No, I wouldn't say so.
No.
They were all on their own mission.
We had a hard time because, my dad was very mean to my mum.
No, I mean, that's just...
Oh, he was, Mummy. He was abusive. And it was very, very hard for you.
Yeah, anyway, I escaped, so that was good.
And how old was Juliette when you escaped?
8.
Yeah. So we drove to Cape Town. Anyway, so Ju went out one night. She used to go out a lot. you like going.
No, I didn't. I was sitting at home reading books. Remember?
Going out to parties. But anyway, and then this girl said to her, "Do you want to meet the King of America?" So she went off. And
my family call me Jew. I'm not a Jew,
and
but they
he
call
was-
me Jew. It's
He
J-U.
was with Clinton, the Clinton guy. So, 20 years ago, we thought a president would be, a fairly reputable character, we thought. So, and then he phoned and said,
Yeah, because
my
my mum wanted to speak to Jeffrey Epstein before
not
I was taken
really,
there. No,
but-
Mummy, you wanted to make sure I was going to be safe.
well, I wanted to know what it was about.
Well, I was 20 years old. They promised me a
Yeah.
modeling career, and my mum wanted to make sure that it was legitimate. So he
So-
phoned my mum, and they spoke for half an hour.
Well, anyway, he said, he pretended he was a philanthropist, and with scholarships. Obviously these philanthropists issue scholarships like the Rhodes Scholarship, etc., for children to
But you see,
study at university.
for me, I went for the modeling casting, and it was very, like, he also told my mum it was about modeling, but he also.
No, he didn't tell me about modeling.
But why didn't he
told me
tell you about modeling?
studying.
'Cause I went for a modeling casting, and Bill Clinton actually witnessed the whole modeling casting.
Yeah, because
But you see, he wasn't focusing on that with my mum. He was focusing on educational opportunities.
because he knew he's a psychopath. So psychopaths.
Well, he knew that you wouldn't. Well, he wouldn't let me
Psychopaths
go there.
are very interesting. They always
Interesting, yeah.
they find out exactly what their prey.
How do you know all this, Mummy? I'm joking.
So, I was interested in Ju carrying on her education and getting a degree. And I wasn't interested in the modeling and stupid Victoria.
Because Mummy did modeling. Mummy was.
No, I'm not
a
interested in that
Mummy was
shit.
on magazine covers, by the way.
So I thought, well, Ju will go and he will organize her a scholarship. Well, it wasn't quite what he was thinking. And, the next thing was a visa was organized, boom, 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 just done, to America. We just went and collected the visa from the American embassy. That was strange. And then Ju went off. So, of course, she used to go back and forth, and she certainly wasn't going to tell me what was going on because the guy said to her that if you say anything about me, you will end up in jail. I'll plant. That's
Or he'll kill my family. Well,
Well,
he said that
he
he has
said-
my family's name on a list.
She's got all our names on a list, blah, blah.
Well, Sean, basically, my mum didn't know what had exactly happened until Epstein died. I hid it from my family my whole life because I didn't want to them to think so badly of me because I always felt so bad about myself after everything that happened there. But when you're young and you're taken advantage of like that, he was a very clever person who made people blame themselves. He used to like pick on people and he used to make me feel like I was a junkie because I
that's
smoked
just
marijuana.
psychopaths. They build people
But,
up and then they knock them
You see, I
down.
was too terrified to even mention to my mum what had actually happened until after he died. And it was very hard for me telling my mum. I
course,
sent
that's
my mum a voice
understandable.
note explaining.
What,
Yeah.
Sean?
I said that's totally understandable. Going back to
Yeah.
the phone call, Virginia, the 30-minute phone call then. So you're saying that, because he was with Bill Clinton, you thought that might have, Clinton wouldn't hang out with anybody that was doing these kind of things. So it was kind of like he used Clinton to like suck people in perhaps. And you're saying this 30-minute phone call, he was very smooth on the phone. He was pretending to help young people's educations financially.
Yes, and obviously psychopaths are very charming, and he was very sophisticated and well-spoken and polite, of course. Yeah.
There's a con man, one of the greatest con men in history.
Well, anyway, who organizes him? So,
Yeah, that's what we want to know. Who's the
It's a
business
poor
behind
thing.
him?
Poor
Where are the
thing.
financial transactions?
Well, we'll get to that. So the first time that Juliette went away, can you remember that, Virginia?
Wait, now I'll quickly and get it lighter.
Yeah, I remember. Sort of, yeah, it was long ago, more than 20 years ago. Yeah, what a nuisance, the whole thing.
And what do you remember about that?
Well, we were going through a lot of family trauma at the time. I mean, we'd lost our house.
Yeah, but everyone.
That's why you
has
can't remember it so
difficulties.
well because it was a
Everybody-
really hard time for us.
Everyone has difficulties, you know.
Yeah, they do. But
People-
unfortunately, in this case, Epstein.
But anyway,
can-
the fact is, I always study a lot on my own. I've always studied and studied. I want to know why we're alive, what we're doing on this planet, and that sort of thing. Yeah. So it looks like Drew went straight in for the hornet's nest to find out how things are run on this planet.
Luckily, I didn't get stung too badly. I got stung a few times, nearly fucking died.
So
Juliette, did you
I
come
used
and go, or was it just a 3-month thing and then you came back?
No, they took me there. It was for 3 months in total over an 18-month period. So
Yeah.
they used to take me there. Like for the first time they took me there, I landed on October the 18th. And then I was taken back there in December. And then the next year they took me there in February. And then like I had like weird arguments with him. Well, it was like, remember I told you that time when I went out with one of his assistants in New York? Because I wasn't allowed to go out there, but the one time they let me go out. And when I was out, like my drink got spiked very badly. I was the only white person in the club, to be honest. I went out with one of his assistants who's also friends with Quincy Jones, apparently. Her name's Deborah Anselm. And my drink was definitely spiked, and I thought I was going to die. I had to get myself back to the apartment. The assistant didn't come with me. And I got, not the apartment, that mansion. And then I rang the bell and woke Epstein up, and he was furious, and he sent me back early that time. So it was like he thought I'd been disobedient. But the thing is that the whole thing actually just affected my mind so badly that it was just like, after being around people like that, you don't really know who you are anymore.
And Virginia, were you detecting that things weren't quite right with Juliette? Were you able to detect that, or were you, while she was away, did you not detect anything? What kind of communication lines did you guys have?
Well, you spoke to me every day. Huh?
No, not every day. I was only allowed to
Right.
phone you. Epstein let me phone my mum like 2 times, and then he was always listening when I phoned my mum. You were thinking about when I went overseas years later.
Yeah,
you know.
to America.
Yeah, when I had a boyfriend in America after that. That's when I used to phone every day. But with Epstein, I wasn't allowed to phone every day.
So with him listening, then was it difficult to have an authentic conversation with your mother?
Yeah. And also, like, I didn't, it was just such a messed up situation that one didn't want to like be like, oh my God, I've been taken to this island. It was so confusing for a 20-year-old to be in a situation like that. I didn't really know what to do or what to say. And at the same time, I sort of still believed that he was going to be helping with my modeling career and like making because we've been struggling. But it was just, it was very, very traumatic. And, I wasn't the same person when I got back from there. I know my whole family could see, that, Mummy. Like my brothers treated me differently. Everyone was like, it's like I came back a different person.
And what did you notice, Virginia, how she changed?
No. Drew, I didn't really think she'd changed.
Well, Mummy sees the spiritual side. Mummy is amazing. Yeah, well, Mummy loves me no matter what. Yeah.
Good. So as this was progressing, then, Virginia, did there come a point where you started to get concerned?
Yeah, I began to think, what is this? And I thought, oh, I'll look up his chart because
My mum's an astrologer.
well, I studied astrology, and then I saw that he had he was possessed with a satanic entity, and I've never seen that in any other chart.
Wow.
Never.
Well, I saw the satanic entity without seeing the chart.
Well, I don't even know what a satanic entity is, but it doesn't sound very nice.
So when you found that out, how did you feel when you found that out, Virginia?
Well, Drew didn't go back again.
Good.
Anyway, she'd already, the guy wasn't used to people just doing what they liked, which was.
Well, I didn't do what I liked,
I
but
brought my children up.
I didn't
to
do what I liked, Mummy. The thing is, I wouldn't accept the money he was offering me. You brought me up with high morals. So when I was offered money to bring girls to him and stuff, I don't do things like that because Mummy's not a strict mummy, but Mummy's got high principles. And I've been
Good.
brought up with high morals, like not to hurt people, not to do criminal activity. You know, obviously, mummy doesn't mind if I have a cigarette or a drink, but mummy's very, very firm about, being a good person.
Good.
Mummy.
And Juliette, when you said you saw the demonic entity, what did you mean by that?
Well, when I saw him shift into the reptilian, the creature I saw. But
And
I didn't even tell.
what did his eyes do at that point?
They went pitch black, like big, like this. And his head went bigger, and then there were like ridges and horns and big black eyes. And then he was just looking at me, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, pretty freaked out.
So, with Jeffrey, I think he's a pathetic person, really. I mean, what was he doing? Shoveling snow when he was 7 or something?
Yeah, he told me he was shoveling
know,
snow at age 7.
And then driving taxis or something. And I think at some point, this entity managed to get control over him. So it's really
Maybe he was
these
abused.
entities.
Maybe he was also abused.
Yeah. But he
Well,
was
why would someone
working-
be like that? Why would someone try hurt people?
The whole thing about stuff is to distract everybody from what they're doing. Obviously, they're doing genetic
Obviously, cloning.
experiments, and I mean, that obviously we know that's been. We know
No, Mummy,
where
not
the
everyone
result-
knows that, Mummy. That's why I think Shaun would like it if you also explain that more to the viewers, about the cloning and, the research you've done on this, because you've had many more years to do this and you've had a lot of time to do it. You are a researcher.
Well, basically, I'm interested in spiritual things. So I was brought up to be, they made an attempt.
Well, they tried to make you Catholic.
Yeah,
They tried to take Mummy to church every day. My granny was very religious.
I went to a convent and I was brought up by nuns, and
Mummy, aren't the girls that go to the nun schools always the naughtiest?
No, not really. So you get the naughty, the vicar's daughter.
The vicar's daughter.
Virginia, a lot of people are interested in, what happened in New Mexico, the baby farm, the cloning, trying to buy the eggs from girls. Did you say that you've researched that?
Yeah, well, of course, that all comes into it because, what is the history of humanity? What's the history of human
Yeah, how did
beings?
we all land up here?
Obviously we weren't the stupid Darwin theory.
God just
At
created
least
us.
they call
Bam.
it the theory, thank God. But most people miss the bit about the
No,
theory.
apparently we originated from a fish or an ape.
They believe all these bizarre things, that we sort of crept out of a river and landed on the side and started to breathe and stuff. And
Take me back to the river.
a monkey and then a human and all this nonsense. We are a result of intergalactic experiments.
Interference. Intergalactic interference.
We are, a mix of about 11 intergalactic races, obviously.
Whereas
Nothing about this sort of
like a science
this
experiment.
gorilla that was roaming. Anyway.
Yeah, but Mummy, there's the RH negative and the RH positive, and RH negative blood doesn't have the monkey protein, but RH positive does.
Yeah, that's
My mummy's RH positive, so Mummy, in fact, you do have monkey blood. Apparently, because what I've realized with the RH negative is you get iron blood and copper blood, and the only creatures that have copper blood are crustaceans, like those ghastly, like bottom feeders in the bottom of the ocean. They've got the same blood type as me. It's like a mermaid.
Yeah, this is all scientific stuff,
Half reptile. Maybe I'm half reptile too. Then maybe that's why I saw him turn. Anyway, sorry, let me not. You
So
keep going.
Epstein was obsessed with this, the bloodlines.
Who's upset?
Epstein. He was obsessed with
Epstein.
the bloodlines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was choosing certain women he wanted to have babies with them.
Yeah, well, he would impregnate them, have them impregnated. The guy couldn't go bonking around that often.
Well, he tried.
I mean, isn't Musk the same? Hasn't he got all these children and they've just been impregnated with IV, whatever it is?
He's got a lot out there, yes.
Yeah. Where's he gone anyway?
I wanted to interview Elon Musk. Shaun, why can't you get him on your show one day
Why
and
is
get
he?
me on at the same time with Mummy?
Why is he? No,
All
no,
four
no
of us.
thanks, no thanks. Why is he vanished, Sean? Where do you think? What's going on with that guy?
He's still very active on X. Elon's
I
very
don't
active
think
on
that's
X.
him. Oh, come on. He's
And
putting
it was
baby pornography.
Baby
it was
pornography. Mummy,
it
there's
was
no such thing
Elon.
as-
It
No,
was
that's-
Elon who said that Trump was in the Epstein files that made this story go huge again.
Yeah, you're right.
Hmm.
So it's like
He said
Elon
it
went
was
in
months
there to
ago
try and
now.
expose him more.
It was months ago when Elon posted that, and that story's still running now.
But they were like besties, you know, Trump and Musk, and now suddenly they hate each other.
Well, they're
Well, the
friends
news out
again.
today
Are
that
they?
have you seen the birthday stuff? Epstein's
Yeah, I
birthday
made it.
book.
I made my own drawing of it. It's even better than that one, I promise you.
Well,
But
the
Virginia, you were telling us about these interdimensional entities and the hybrid. What was Epstein's interest in that? Do you think?
Whose interest?
Epstein.
Oh, his. Well, he's just
He was-
continuing the
Search,
operation.
I'll tell you, search for immortality
Well, yeah. Well, we are immortal anyway.
and
but
control.
he was continuing with the human farming, I guess. He just got caught at it. It's funny how all
'Cause we
these
sp-
people are just friends.
We've spoke to a few people who were offered money for their eggs and they refused. But do you think there's people out there who do you think there's people out there who took the money and he did have children with other people, perhaps?
I don't think they want a paper trail of that.
Well,
I think it was done in a more sneaky way. Like I'll pay for your studying, I'll pay for trips, and I'll take your eggs while I'm at it.
I don't think he ever asked people if they wanted to.
Because you need a contract for that.
Hand over
And
eggs.
when you've got a contract, you've got evidence. You know?
No, yeah, there won't be contracts. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Well, when there's $1 million being paid for something, you need a contract in place.
Yeah, they don't pay tuppence for people's eggs. Look at
Yeah.
that.
Because they
People
drew
are
up,
so
didn't
cheap.
Virginia say they drew up some papers for her to get pregnant?
Yeah. Virginia first said that they wanted to take a baby from her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all beside the point, really. What's really where the humanity appears at the moment to be on the brink of either evolution or
collapse.
extinction.
Collapse.
Extinction or evolution. They've reached a point where they can destroy our.
We're either going to become angels or we're going to become fish and monkeys again, basically.
But Liz Truss, with her idea about these techno whatnots. So you're talking about, she's saying that everything's controlled by people.
Yeah. My friend
Writing.
Andrew Gall was going to interview her, and he asked me to suggest some questions, and he asked who controls the politicians in the UK, and she said there's a group of technocratic elites who control the politicians in the UK.
What do you think?
I agree. I think that the politicians, it's like a clown show, isn't it? You've got the red clowns, you've got the blue clowns, and then you've got the ringmaster, who we never see the ringmaster.
No, we
there's-
won't
there's-
see those guys.
And you've also got angels and demons.
So they will be the people behind Epstein. I'd say that Epstein was really a pathetic little man who was controlled and possessed.
No, well, look at his birthday book. There's like all these pictures of him standing around in his underwear looking like a Tenenbaum. He looks like the Royal Tenenbaum's son. You know, sorry, we've been watching Royal Tenenbaums.
Well, we're wondering why there's never been criminal proceedings against people like Leslie Wexner, Prince Andrew got off the hook. They're saying that there's nobody else.
They own the media. Sorry.
Because these people control the laws. I went to university and did a law degree, and I decided I never wanted anything to do with it. The first thing they tell you is that law has got nothing to do with justice. And the second thing, if you look, is that most of these laws are written by criminals anyway, so they're way above the law. They're just laughing at it.
So do you think then, if it's a clown show, that the Epstein files will never be released by either party because they're all, they would implicate themselves or the donors?
Well, what are these files supposed to be of all the people who went to the island? The people who what are these files?
I think the public's just calling for a more comprehensive list of the clients that,
I
if
don't think he didn't.
Maxwell is in prison for transporting, teenage girls predominantly to people. And who are these people? That's what the public wants to know.
Yeah, well, it's much like JP Morgan paying out.
Yeah.
They did $1 billion worth of human trafficking between JP Morgan and Epstein's accounts. So far, $525 million has been paid out to the victims. Yet they say that there's nothing to cover up, and also the victims' names aren't on the flight logs. So if JP Morgan paid out $290 million for human trafficking, you would expect to see more names on flight logs. So
Yeah,
it's
and
basically all
Piers
covered up.
Morgan
Where are all the victims? Who got all this money? It's very, very peculiar.
and Piers Morgan twisted your words, Juliette. He's tried to make you say that there wasn't a client list. Did you
Well,
notice that?
actually my interview with him was quite edited because it was 15 minutes and they cut it down to 6. Apparently they did that because they had to keep it to a 45-minute show.
Well, they should have just had you on for an hour because apart from Andrew Loney, the other people that they had on, you were there. You have personally experienced and witnessed these elites such as Bill Clinton, etc., flying around the world with Epstein. I think your viewpoint way more important than any of these commentators that they had on. So they should have given you a full hour to tell your story in depth and length.
I don't know if I want a full hour there because it makes me nervous talking on shows like that. I'd rather I'd rather have my full hour here with you.
So
Oh,
Rupert
thank you.
Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch is what, 100 or something.
Is he still alive? He must be a vampire.
So
Is he still married to Jerry Hall?
no, they got divorced.
Oh my God.
He married a woman in China. That was, I don't know if he's still with her, but to try and
A
get
new
into the
one.
Chinese. I'll have to double check.
Why
who's
do
married to now.
90-year-olds go around getting married? I mean, good God, don't they have something better to do with their time? They're looking for a maid, I suppose.
Something to do with expanding his business interest. He was expanding his business interest into China, so he married a Chinese woman as a business move.
Sounds dodgy.
Good grief. He's dodgy, isn't he, as hell? He's got a long wiki page. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but all the media
Personal life, marriages.
Really?
Okay, in 1999, 17 days after
Are you
divorcing his
looking at
second
them?
wife,
Well done.
Let's listen.
he married Chinese-born Wendy Deng. This is in 1999. She was 30, a recent Yale School of Management graduate, and a newly appointed vice president of Star TV. He had 2 daughters with her, Grace in 2001 and Chloe in 2003. He's got 6 children and is grandfather to 13 children. Near the end of his marriage to Wendy, hearsay concerning a link with Chinese intelligence became problematic to their relationship. In 2013, a News Corp spokesperson confirmed that Murdoch had filed for divorce from Deng. In New York City, the marriage had been irretrievably broken for more than 6 months. He ended his long-standing friendship with Tony Blair after suspecting him of having an affair with Deng while they were still married. What?
Oh my God. Oh, shock and horror of it all. Doesn't surprise me one bit.
So he divorced. Jerry Hall was next, but they divorced in 2022. And then,
you know what else?
then he proposed to Anne Leslie Smith. But they called it off.
Not Anne Nicole Smith. Are you sure it wasn't Anne Nicole Smith who married the other old billionaire who nearly was like on his
No,
death's door?
she's passed as well.
No,
In March
she died of
2024,
yeah.
in March 2024, Murdoch became engaged again to a retired Russian molecular biologist, Elena Zhukova, ex-wife of Russian businessman Alexander Zhukov. The wedding was held at Murdoch's estate in California, June 2024. He was 93 and she's 67. Through the marriage, he became stepfather.
She's not 16. Sorry.
True. Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm
So
looking at
he's
Russian.
still-
That's incredible. Well, we need to research this,
A
mummy.
Russian molecular
So
biologist.
what you're saying then? Do you think that Piers Morgan, he's trying to say he's independent, or are you saying that Rupert Murdoch still has some influence over him because of the business They're in some kind
Oh,
of business
course.
I heard
partnership.
that's
Of
not
course.
fair.
He's not going to be releasing anything that is against Murdoch and his group.
But weren't Murdoch and Maxwell enemies? They were. Murdoch and Maxwell were enemies. Robert
were-
Maxwell and
So-
Rupert
so-
They were
Murdoch were enemies.
When I-
competitors in
So
the mind
this
control.
is actually interesting, yeah, because it's so they both
Yeah.
control the media from different angles.
When I grew up,
Well-
the two biggest newspapers in the UK were the Sun and the Daily Mirror. And the Daily Mirror was owned by Robert Maxwell Gallen's dad, and the Sun was owned by Rupert Murdoch. And they were like the two titans. They were like totally going at it until Robert Maxwell was unalived off the yacht, the Lady Galen.
So
Yeah.
who's running the media now?
Well, the
The
people that were
seven
running them.
7 corporations control almost 100% of the world mainstream media.
Wow, that's interesting. Who is it? BlackRock or something?
Oh God, not them again.
Well,
Who is it?
Black. If you look at who owns all the shares of all of the companies, I think there's You got about 2 or 3 companies like BlackRocks of the world
BlackRock
that
and
are
Vanguard.
that are the main shareholders. But in terms of the media, the biggest mainstream media companies, let me just Google that. Biggest media
Yeah.
companies. We've got Paramount,
What?
Warner Brothers, Disney, Fox,
There we go.
News
There we go.
Corp,
Bam, bam, bam. Well
Thomson
done. Good
Reuters,
job, Sean.
New York
Excellent.
Times, Disney and Sony, Comcast,
So
Paramount,
I
Amazon.
heard that doesn't Gates own the New York
He'll own
Times
a lot of
and
stuff.
Wall Street Journal? I don't know who owns
I think
him.
they own
but-
shares, right? A lot of these people own shares and then they have a say.
so
Yeah,
all-
exactly.
Well, they-
That's BlackRock's taken
So-
over the world through that.
yeah, so it's a mind control machine. And most people are totally mind controlled, and their ability
Well,
to
I mean-
think is just receding by the day.
There's
So do
one
you
guy
think-
I
do you
dated
think-
worked for BlackRock. And then
do you
I was
think
taken
that
to
Piers-
LA and I was teenager. It was weird.
Do you think
so-
that Piers Morgan is a willing participant in the mind control machine, or he's been used unwittingly?
He seemed like a
What do
nice
you
guy.
think? What do you think? I think he wants his salary at the end of the month. What do you think?
Well, people sign contracts and they I suppose they're stuck through the contract, maybe. I mean, I don't know the guy I don't know. I've spoken to him.
What do you
briefly.
think?
Yeah, what do you
He's
think,
got-
Sean?
He's taken over YouTube in the last year or so with a very winning formula, almost Jerry Springer-esque, whereby he
I
has
met Jerry
people-
Springer. Jerry Springer told me he was embarrassed about his own show.
He said, God, he never
He was like mortified about it. I met him in Cape Town.
Everybody comes to
Sorry,
Cape Town.
sorry to
Have-
cut in, but
have
you
you
said
been to Cape Town, Sean?
No, I've not. My sister went to South Africa once, and
You must come visit.
She enjoyed it. She's been actually on a honeymoon. She went on safari out
Really?
in that part of the world as well. Yeah, yeah.
well, you can always come visit us if you want. We've got an
Yeah.
apartment
Oh,
in our
thank you.
house. Come stay with your family.
People used to come
Thank
to
you.
Cape Town because, most famous people have been here because people don't recognize them. They say they've got more chance of being mugged than recognized.
But you're
Oh,
right
my
with what you're
goodness.
saying with Piers Morgan's show becoming Jerry Springerish. It's like people arguing, and I was watching one with Blair White and another woman last night where they were like questioning the trans movement, and it was sort of like you say, Jerry Springerish.
So who's the
Yeah.
other man with the long hair? Who's the one you can't stand? Russell something.
Oh my God, that
Right.
Russell Brand! I can't
Yeah.
stand that man.
So-
He's such an evil man. I can just see it a mile away. He's a demon.
Anyway, as soon as you see these people shoved at you all the time, don't even bother to
So-
look.
so
Piers
just-
Morgan.
Just, I've got a question just come to mind. When Juliette managed to get away from Epstein and come home, what was that like for you, Virginia?
In what way?
Like that she'd come home. I imagine you were concerned about her at some point, and then she finally come home. It must have been really warm to be reunited.
Always. Well, Mummy and I have always had the best time together.
Mhm.
Mummy and I, our favorite
Mhm.
times are going out driving because we've both been through pain and trauma.
Obviously, when I
You
finally
know-
knew what had been going on there, because you know, that was a horrible, horrible shock, of course.
Yeah,
Horrible,
I only
horrible
told my
shock.
mum in 2019 when he died
But
what had actually happened. Because
yeah, so I didn't actually know before then.
you see, also when I was taken there, our family, everything was falling to pieces for us. We'd lost
Well,
our home, and
Yeah, but one's always really busy. There's a lot going on always.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, so there's two
And
separate
well,
things
let me
then. So
tell you this one thing, Sean.
Yeah.
Remember when you asked, my mum said to her mum, my granny, who's passed away, she's an amazing woman. She died when she was 95. But my mum said to her, I'm worried about Drew going to America. And do you know what my granny said to my mum? She said, you didn't raise a fool. You gotta love granny.
So what
Yeah.
year did you come home, Juliette?
It was, well, 2004. Because the thing is, I was going, back and forth from there. And, everything was just like hard at home. And, we were all having a very hard time. And we were just sort
How
of
did
trying
Who used to go?
How did
You
it
went to
feel
America.
if you didn't tell your mum until 2019? How did it feel to hold that in for that whole time? Was that stressful?
Horrible, horrible. I never told anyone. I only told my ex-boyfriend Tim because he told me some things he'd done that were like, I was like, he like told me that it wasn't that bad, but and then I felt like safe to tell him about this because I always felt
And he
terribly
didn't
ashamed.
believe it.
He didn't believe me because he was such a patriotic American. Like when we used to go to his house, he'd raise the flag and we'd all have to sing the national anthem. He was a very patriotic American and he didn't believe what I said. But over time, he realized because, we were together for like 10 years. So he eventually started to realize that I was obviously not
No,
like.
he
And
believed you right away.
yeah, eventually. But he told me at first, he was like, what? But then, he also helped testify for me because there are emails between him and I where he was saying not all men are so bad like Epstein. Because, he was shocked when I told him what had happened. Because I never told anyone except him.
So it's a huge shock for the average person, I'm sure, to realize that their governments are not exactly working in their interests and
Yeah, that they're bad people.
yeah.
Because most people think that the governments are good and they're here to help people.
Yeah, look at doctors, they think the medical technocracy is
Yeah, they
something
really
about-
help. It's bullshit.
about health. It's a big business. It's
Yeah.
not there for what did the head of the American Medical Association, there were so many complaints, and he said, let buyer beware. So when you go and see a doctor, you have to understand you're
It's
wanna buy
called farming humans, is what it is.
Yeah,
Most people
buy
spend
something.
most people spend most of their money in their last 2 weeks of their life trying to save their lives.
Well, they're not
Juliette,
spending it. the
Juliette,
doctors are.
what made you feel ready to tell your mom in 2019?
Well,
It became quite
well,
obvious.
The reporters were contacting me, and it was it was just obvious, I suppose, by that
And
point.
there's Juju's name on the flight list.
Yeah, my name's
Loud
on
and
the flight log.
Claire, that.
My mum now has taken the end.
And after that, it was, when they were releasing these lists of who went flying to. You
But-
do know this island didn't have a 5-star hotel, Sean. You know that.
It was very basic. It was like camping.
Did you know it was just a crappy room or
Wow.
two?
Yeah, it was crappy. Yeah, my mum's right. It was Epstein's Island was crappy.
You know that, Sean. Hey.
I
I've been
saw
to
the
far
temp-
better places in my life.
I saw that
No,
I saw that
Sean
temp-
knows that.
I
Sorry,
saw the
Sean?
temple. I saw the temple on the island.
Yeah, but people used to go. They didn't go and stay.
I never,
there.
Sean, I didn't see that temple. Do you know it was only built between around 2008, that temple?
Later.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's why I never
you
saw
know
it.
you've got all these famous people going to the island, and they're all staying in 5-star places normally, and they go to this. It's just a couple of rooms. So what was going on?
Underneath the island is
What
where
was
it
going
really
on,
is.
you know?
It's all underground.
What did they go there for? You think Trump and Clinton?
They went there for
They
Westworld.
stay in the absolute best places. They're not going to go and stay on that crummy island. I mean, people do know that. You know that, don't you?
So you're saying that they were sacrificing comfort to commit these monstrous acts?
No, there's something underneath the island, Sean.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's something
No,
underneath there.
culture. How do you mean culture? Sacrificing culture.
Sacrificing
They
their
were-
comfort. They didn't mind
The
that it
comfort, they
was.
sacrificed comfort.
Oh, well, they didn't stay there very long, obviously. I think they just took some sort of stuff to do cloning with. Wouldn't I suppose that's what they were doing? Some sort of medical thing. They came to the island. They
Like
got,
Mummy used to date lords, okay? Mummy's dated lords.
oh,
Well, Mummy knows what rich people live like. This was not a rich place.
So what was going on under the island, Juliette?
well, there was something to do with their cloning stuff.
Yeah, well, I didn't go underneath it
Otherwise,
to my
why are all these rich people going to the island, and they want the lists of everyone who
like
owns the island?
Oprah, John of God,
They've
the
had
baby
those-
farming,
They've
Oprah
had those
Winfrey.
lists for ages. That's no, why are they shouting for lists when the lists have been out for ages?
Yes, exactly. Just like Mummy's saying,
Do
everyone's
they-
waiting for the list. It's
Do
like
they think there's
obvious.
a little list where they say, I blackmailed this politician X to do blah, blah? Do they think there's a little list? And I got so-and-so, governor of wherever, a little girl.
Yeah.
I mean, do they think that...
Do you think it's all written down?
what
When
do
people
they-
are murdered, do you write it down? You're like, well, today I just axed this person to death. You don't do
Yeah,
stuff
what
like
kind
that.
of list is everyone shouting for?
Mummy, you're so right.
So
Well,
Prince Andrew would be on the list. Many people have suggested and alleged.
well, he's a nasty.
Do you know what we
piece
need
of
to
work,
look
isn't
into?
he?
The JP Morgan transactions. With $1 billion worth of human trafficking transactions through JP Morgan and Epstein's accounts. Who was paying for the trafficking? Because it wasn't the bank paying. Okay, when you've got a bank, it's there an intermediate. You've got people
Yeah.
paying on each side.
Yeah.
So they're like, Epstein's got $1 billion worth of human trafficking transactions on his account.
So
Who
controls
was
the
paying?
banks?
Who was paying?
Who controls the banks?
And the lawyers
It's
have looked at all
obvious who
this.
controls the banks. It's the same people who are controlling the politicians. So, you always see that this man, he, okay, look at Maxwell man. Gillian
Robert
Stein.
Maxwell. Yeah.
He stole the pensions of
36,000 pensioners' money.
Can you imagine the suffering he
Not from one.
caused?
He
So
sold
then
36,000.
You get these people and they embezzle millions and they say, fine, you have to pay a fine now of £2 million. And everyone's happy. But what about the £50 million that they've stolen?
What about all the suicides, the families that have been
Yeah, no
murdered?
mention about how the people struggle on without.
What about that list? Yes, Mummy's right. You want the Epstein list? We want to see the Maxwell list. The people that were hurt by that.
Good. Yeah. So, okay. So then the person embezzles all this money and they put it in the bank. But, the bank, no, I don't know where it was. I mean, in Cape Town, there was a guy that ripped some estate agent. He ripped everyone off hundreds of thousands, stashed the money in Hong Kong. Oh, but they don't know where, no.
About 2019 and what led to you telling your mum?
Well, when Epstein died and reporters started contacting me, I realized I could no longer keep this buried any longer. It was a very traumatic thing that happened to me that I never wanted to talk about. I came back from there shattered. My mum knows. My mum took me to the hospital many times. You remember, Mummy? I had fucking severe panic attacks. I couldn't breathe. I didn't want to tell my mum what had really happened. But when he died and people were speaking out, also the world had changed by that time. Let's not forget that, like, after 2 decades, things change. It's like compare the 40s to the 60s. Compare the 60s to the 80s. This happened to me in 2002. By this time, it was nearly 2020. So I felt a little safer to speak out and say what had happened, especially with all the reporters contacting, and it was like it's obviously something I never wanted to think about or talk about ever again.
What do you think it was all about, Shaun?
Well, I think there's a big apparatus that's still operating to this day. But just going back to what Juliette just said, so when you had that conversation with her, did you suspect already that something had happened, or was it a surprise to you?
I don't know. It was sort of gradual, really, coming out more and more gradually. It was.
Mummy had been through trauma also from my dad.
Everybody has.
and everything.
Humans are a traumatized race. And that's the whole thing, is to get over all that fear and everything.
Yeah.
People are at a crossroads now. They can either maintain positive high thoughts, or they can operate on a low frequency.
But Mummy never judged me, and Mummy was always kind when I told her.
Well, judging is.
And even when I went,
ridiculous.
even at school, every time if I got in trouble at school, Mummy used to go in there and shout at the teachers.
I don't
So
know.
I imagine because you would probably want to direct, if you were angry or upset, you would probably want to direct that at Epstein. But because Epstein was no longer alive, how did that make you feel, Virginia?
I don't feel angry at him because he's obviously operating for something behind the scenes.
Mummy's angry at the
And-
government.
And to be angry is, well, it's
Waste of
not a
energy.
great energy, but it's easily transformed, thank goodness. Anger is easily transformed, unlike depression, which is harder to deal with. So, angry, no, I just keep on looking at how the world is run.
Mummy knows we live in
Obviously.
a messed up world.
I know a lot about, I already knew a lot about what really goes on, especially in America, these horrific sort of mind control. Well, I mean,
Programs.
America's just totally mind controlled, and most people today are mind controlled. So, you know, that's why the
You see-
Jesuits always said, give me a child before he's 7 or something. And,
And
he's
he's mine.
He's mine for life, because we are all programmed by what happened in our childhoods, and the subconscious has taken it on and in, and we operate on it. Most people are just operating on automatic. They're just going tick-tock, tick-tock.
TikTok, they're all watching TikTok while they're at
There's
it.
even stupid TikTok, which is from China anyway. And, you know, people are just drinking in a whole lot of dumb information and not really having enough discrimination.
So if
or
you didn't
discernment.
feel angry, then did you feel deceived when you reflected upon the phone call, the 30-minute phone call?
Deceived.
We're in a world of deceit and
Yeah,
deception.
Sean, get with it. This is a world of deceit.
Yeah. So,
I know, but
you know,
I'm trying to capture your emotional reaction in
Well, Mummy's
2019.
Mummy's a soldier. Mummy doesn't sit there being like, oh, someone's
My
hurt me,
emotional
poor
reaction-
me, I'm going to sit here crying. Mummy's a fighter. Mummy says,
Yeah.
well, we are spiritual beings and screw them all.
and
We're
we-
better than
Good.
them. That's what Mummy
Good.
says.
We come
Yeah,
into
that's
the
great.
3 dimensions to learn. We come here.
This is why I'm still alive, guys. My mum. She first gave me life, and she kept me alive.
Yeah, we come to the 3 dimensions to learn. And, you know, the electromagnetic spectrum, remember, humans see about 5 or 6%. A lot of people see a lot more. But most people don't see very much of what's around us. So they're interdimensionals, intergalactics, all over the place. It's just that we are programmed to see a certain small section of the electromagnetic spectrum. And therefore, intergalactics, interdimensionals, they're around all the time. They're operating on a higher frequency mostly, which is totally outside most people's vision. If you get the Bushmen in Southwest Africa and you take them to the ocean, they just can't see it.
They can't see
They
the sea.
cannot see it. Until they make them put their toe in the water, they can't see it.
Yeah,
So most
David,
people don't see it.
We've been programmed. It's called synaptic pruning.
What were you going to say, Sean?
Sorry, Sean.
David Icke talks a lot about that stuff. I've interviewed him several times. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
okay,
he's
so
not. Well, I
So-
mean, in the 1980s, he wrote those books about, I don't know, you know, and the Queen with a tail and what have you, the British Queen,
Lizard Queen.
You know,
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. But anyway, you know, and everyone's kind of laughed at it. So gradually, you know, people do laugh at brilliant people until eventually they accept what. Look at Rupert Rupert.
Murder.
No,
Mummy, I
not-
hope you're not a lizard too. I'm joking. How do you have so much information? No,
No,
Mummy's
you know,
different.
that genius, Rupert Sheldrake, absolute genius, with the morphic resonances and all that. He's brilliant. Everyone sort of laughed at his stuff. Now it's just sort of mainstream, morphic resonance.
Virginia, what did you think about the sad death of the other Virginia, the survivor of Epstein?
Virginia Gaffer.
I don't know. I have no idea what these people get up to, quite honestly. What was she? Some sort of.
Mummy May, I used to speak to her. She was my
Yeah.
friend.
She was Juliette's friend.
Yeah, we spoke
Yeah.
a few times, but
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, these people, what, she didn't really have much of a home or a family. And so it's easy for
She
people
was
to
smart.
prey on people who don't have a home or family, isn't it?
so there's also been a big cover up here, as we all know. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like Virginia Gifford had the lawsuit against Prince Andrew. Why have there been no more lawsuits like that? They say that these girls are being trafficked to all these men.
Well,
If they
what is-
were, there would be more
What is
lawsuits.
that Andrew man? A sort of arms dealer or something?
Prince Andrew, well, he was working with that guy,
Yeah.
Gaddafi, who tried to take me to Libya. Did I ever tell you that, Sean? I met Saif Gaddafi. He tried to fly me to Libya.
No,
He
I
wanted
didn't
me to
know
go play with his pet tiger. My mum said no. Well, I didn't want to go anywhere. And there was
Good.
another guy called Tariq Khartoum. I've met both of them, the arms dealer men that were involved with Andrew. It's so creepy because, you know, a lot of these criminals come to Africa, to South Africa. You know, I don't even know if I've told you that I was like taken to LA and everything also. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll go into
What?
that another time.
No, go on. If you want to expand on that, that'd be great.
It's too long a story to explain now.
Well, Ju went to LA and she met
do
all
know.
these actor people.
I was taken to
These
like
celebrity
Hollywood parties. Like Keira Knightley was there and J Lo and you know, I've even met Snoop Dogg. I smoked joints with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's cool.
Yes.
But I met him in Cape Town.
Yeah. Yeah, but Ju met him. Okay.
Yeah, but he was
He
cool.
was sweet.
I liked
Yeah.
Snoop.
Sweet man.
But the rest of them are a bit dodgy.
All sort of depressed and miserable. These celebrities are a boring bunch, actually.
And I also met like that girl, Princess Charlene. You know, when she was gonna marry Prince Albert.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was before she married him. She chipped my tooth. She went like this and knocked my drink into my mouth and chipped my tooth.
She didn't want
I went
Albert
walking up
to-
the mountain because we were invited. It was like a prince's ball. All these girls from Cape Town were invited to this one guy's house, and Prince Albert was there, and there were like 30 girls, and they sort of swarmed around him.
Who told you about him and pink?
Oh my God, let's not talk about
No,
that.
we did not talk about that.
That's even worse. It was sweet to my mum.
Yeah, I
we
know.
know some more stories, but
No, we
you know,
won't. We won't.
we don't want to get sued. We'll just blame it on mummy.
So is there anything then that you'd like to say to the people watching this video, either of you who've you know been listening to this interview, and to the survivors, the remaining survivors out there who were, you know, who so bravely spoke? We saw them do the press conference and read your statement as well, Juliette. Is there anything you'd like to say to them?
Well, I just think the more people that stand up and speak against this, the better. You know, and it's not just the victims who can speak out, it's the public, because the public have become victims of this as well now.
Yeah.
You know, it's many pieces of a big puzzle, and I think the more pieces we put together, the better.
I don't
Yeah.
believe in being a victim. I think it's bullshit. You know, I just don't really. I mean, give up being it's a generation of wimps at the moment. I call it the generation
Thanks,
of
Mummy. After everything I've been through,
the
Jesus Christ.
generation of
Okay, well,
victim.
thanks for the support. You see, no wonder I'm so messed up. I'm joking. No wonder I'm so strong, because Mummy won't let me be a victim.
No,
Mummy's like, we're not victims.
I don't believe
Screw them all.
victims.
Yeah, I love Mummy's thoughts on all of
So that's what I'd say to people. Don't be a victim. Take control yourself.
Stop being a warrior and become a warrior. Bam.
Yeah, use whatever's happened just to strengthen yourself and go forward, you know, with that stronger energy. That's what I say.
Yeah.
I want Mummy to write a
Absolutely.
book, Sean. Can you
I
help
have-
Mummy write a book?
No, stop. I am writing a book, but stop. I don't want to talk about that.
All right, so I'll viewers, let us know. Viewers, let us know. in the-
Sean's wicked laughter. My mum's asking about your wicked laughter, Sean.
Oh my goodness! Hold on a second. Let me close the interview. Viewers, put in the comments what you think about this interview, and if you want to
Thank
follow
everyone for
Juliette,
listening.
her ex is down there, and we really appreciate your support. And thanks, guys, for coming on. It's been fascinating, and I'll end it here now. Cheers. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. There's another Attwood Family Shutters Factory video. Link in the description box on YouTube.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye. See you. Bye. you want beautiful shutters that block out nosy neighbors, you can get a 10% discount using promo code Shaun, SHAUN. Link and number to call, Shutters Factory in the description box.